Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another WNEP Sports Spotlight. It's the Week 16 of the high school football season, and we got one game to go on Friday, and it is the Southern Columbia Tigers back in the 2A state championship game, and they are playing Farrell. Kickoff set for 1 p.m. I'm Sports Director Steve Lloyd. Courtney Harrison joins us, and Eve Hernandez. She is without us today. She is on assignment. She will be back next week as we wrap up the 2025 high school football season. So Southern Columbia, big win last week down there at Lehighton High School, and they took care of business against Lansdale Catholic. Another outstanding win. Got some breaks there in the second half and pulled away for a pretty convincing win.
Nice to see Southern Columbia back to where they seem to belong. You know, this is their 23rd record appearance, and they're looking to try for their record, continuing to set their record with their 15th state title. Can you imagine? 15 state. It's like an expectation, I think, at this point.
Yeah, obviously the hiatus last year, but to come back and make this run now, 14 wins in a row, that one loss earlier in the season to Wyomissing, pretty incredible feat by Coach Roth, his players, staff, and the administration out there to, get back in the weight room and fix some things last year. Obviously, Troy had an outstanding season, taking nothing away from Coach Smith and what he was able to do. They obviously went down and won the state title, and hopefully the Trojans, along with District 4, now the Tigers can keep it in the same district and get a state title on Friday. Yeah,
fingers crossed. And this is Farrell's first appearance since 2019 in the state championships, and they've handled their opponents to get to this point in the season, just coming off that 40-19 win over Seton LaSalle. But these two teams match very well on paper. They both like to run the ball. They both are tough on defense. I think it's going to come down to whose line can, hold things down for the offense and the defense.
Yeah, I would think Coach Roth and his staff, they are obviously very familiar with playing the day after Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. The weather kind of cooperated. It was a little windy, not too far of a trip, kind of playing in their backyard, and they took care of business. So for them, just to kind of recap the season, they lost to Wyomissing in Week 1, 49-27. Then some of the games, some highlight games through the season that they won. They beat Loyalsock 41-zip, beat Mount Carmel. That's obviously one of their foes. Big rivalry there with them. They won 49-16, and then a tough Mifflinburg team and Montoursville team didn't pull away. Those games were close, but able to win those games. And then the District 4 playoffs, they beat Kawaneski Valley. Bloomsburg, that was their second win of the season over them, and then obviously that Troy game, and now wins over Steelton Highspire and Lansdale Catholic, which sets up the game with Farrell down at Cumberland Valley High School. So we're going to talk about the game from last week, and we look forward to hearing from Coach and some of the players when we come back more with the WNEP Sports Spotlight. We'll be right back.
The Wilkes-Barre-Scranton International Airport, AVP, is your gateway to everywhere. Start here with safe, convenient, terminal-connected parking, quick check-in, and short lines at TSA. Fly on American, United, or Breeze Airways and connect to destinations throughout the USA. You can go nonstop to Chicago, Washington, D.C., Philly, or Charlotte. It's that easy. When you return, there's quick baggage claim and parking nearby. You're on your way faster at AVP.
All right, welcome back to the WNEP Sports Spotlight. We talked about it in the first part of the show, but Southern coming off that 24-7 win over Lansdale Catholic. That was the 2A state semis, marking the Tigers' 23rd trip to the state final in school history. The game was tied 7-7 at the half, and then two critical Crusader turnovers near the end zone netted Southern two scores. One was safety to go up 9-7. Then they built a 16-7 lead, and obviously they won the game 24-7. Courtney, I know you saw Eve the next day. I didn't get a chance to talk to her, but it looked cold, but I think it was tough for Lansdale Catholic to kind of find the ball with that wing T offense, and then obviously Southern wearing dark uniforms. Their numbers, the white of the numbers aren't exactly the biggest numbers in the world, but they run that offense to perfection. And Aiden Hockenbrock, obviously some keepers there, and Garcia made some nice runs, and they just kind of got it done against Lansdale Catholic.
Yeah, that first half was a little bit slow, and I don't know, like you said, whether it was the weather or what it was, but the Crusaders' defense was strong early on, slowing down the Tigers, but that obviously didn't last long. And you talked about that safety and those scores in the second half. The Tigers scored 9 points in less than 2 minutes in that third quarter. I think that really kind of set the tone. I don't know what coach said at halftime, but it really kind of fired them up and got them going. And they played to perfection. Their defense has really, really come on strong. I think that was something that they had focused on, right around midseason, that the defense has to show up and has to hold these teams, because you don't want to be giving up 20, 30 points at the end of the season, especially now. So Lansdale coach called Southern Columbia a machine of a team. And like you said, they run this offense to perfection, to a T. They know what they're doing, and hopefully they can keep that up against Farrell this week.
Yeah, I got to see Lansdale Catholic last year. They came up to Mid-Valley and they played Harry Armstrong's Riverside Vikings team. And that game was kind of close early on. Lansdale was making some mistakes, but the Vikings kind of able to pull away in the second half. And again, having to travel up here to Lackawanna County, having to travel up here, obviously down to Carbon County, kind of takes a toll there in the second half, weather-related, the day after Thanksgiving. But give credit where credit is due to Southern Columbia. And Eve Hernandez was able to catch up with Coach Roth and Aiden after the game. And here's the report from down at Lehighton.
They've been a big second half team, very explosive in the second half. And for our defense to come out and hold them to 0 points in the second half and shut them out in the second half, that was really the key to the game. I mean, we didn't score a ton of points, but they gave our offense enough opportunities. We made enough plays, to get enough points to win the football game. But again, I think our defense really set the tone.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, Coach Roth always talks about visualizing yourself at Cumberland Valley, walking on the field, winning a state championship. I mean, it's our goal. Anything other than that's a failure. So, I mean, that's all we thought about the last couple of years. I mean, the history of this program, and then last year, we're the team that lets it down. We're the team that fails. But so much commitment, effort went into it, and now we did it. I mean, we worked together as a team. The chemistry on this team is great. I mean, great win today.
All right, thanks, Aiden and Coach Roth and Eve for getting that state semifinal interviews from the Southern Columbia Tigers. For Farrell, they come into the game. They beat Seton LaSalle 40-19, and that sets up the state final game coming up Friday at 1 p.m. down there at Cumberland Valley High School. Newswatch 16 Sports will be there. Eve and Courtney heading down to cover that game. You were down there last year to see Troy win. What's that venue like? A little bit different than Hershey Park Stadium. Yeah,
it does. It feels more like a regular high school game. It's obviously at the high school, but it's a nice complex. I remember being windy there last year. It wasn't very cold, but it was pretty windy. But I think it provides a nice atmosphere. You can get the one fans on one side and one on the other, and it does. It feels like a large. Very, very big high school football game, not just like at Hershey. I know some of the kids probably miss playing at Hershey because that's where you always wanted to play, but we'll see how things go. And I'm very interested to see this Farrell team. They've got senior tailback Jules Johnson, who has been explosive for the Steelers. They've got quarterback Aaron Paguz. But Jules is the all-time touchdown leader at Farrell. He had 240 yards in this past game against Seton LaSalle. He went over 2,000 on the season. I think he's one of those players that really will be on the focus for the Tigers defense this week.
Yeah, for Southern Columbia, they are very familiar with playing down at Cumberland Valley. Obviously, they didn't play last year, but 2023, the state finals have been there for a while. So Southern familiar with going there and playing on that field, and that should not be a problem for Coach Roth making the trip down 81 to get set for that state final. So good luck to them. Newswatch 16 Sports will be there. We'll have all the reports coming up on Friday on Newswatch 16 at 5 and Newswatch 16 Sports at 6, and then later in the evening. So when we come back, we're going to talk about this is the third state championship meeting between Farrell and Southern Columbia. We're going to give you a little history report. We're going to have a couple reports via stories from an old Newswatch 16 sports guy and Tom Tidy back in the 90s when we come back next on the WNEP Sports Spotlight. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the WNEP Sports Spotlight. I'm Sports Director Steve Lloyd. Courtney Harrison joins us. If you're looking for Eve Hernandez, she is out on assignment and will be rejoining us next week for the Sports Spotlight. So for head coach Jim Roth, he got career victory 5-21, but he's 0-2 in the state championship games against Farrell, and these date back to the middle of the 90s, 1995 and 1996. Southern got a state title in 94, but then they lost to Farrell in consecutive state championship games. So that kind of a thorn in the side for Coach Roth, and I'm sure he's trying to get that game plan together and trying not to reminisce about what actually happened in those close games back in the middle of the 90s.
Well, I talked to him earlier this week. He did reminisce, and he remembers it like it happened yesterday. He said, yep, we won that state title in 94 and then 95. He said, oh, that was a tough one. We get them again next year. He goes, we have no Rico Rossini. He broke his leg. He rattled it off like it was yesterday. I swear, if he and Jim Coles got together, they could talk about anything that happened over every minute of every single day. It's amazing what he remembered. But he had said they didn't even talk about this to the kids this week. He goes, because they weren't even born. It happened 30 years ago. Yeah. He goes, so we didn't even reference it. So if any of the kids are watching this week, they'll get to see what he was talking about.
Yeah, Courtney, kind of a blip on the screen. Obviously, for Coach Roth, those memories set deep in the back of his mind, and he obviously remembers all the wins, but he remembers those losses, and they were some tough ones. So the first one is 1995. It was a 6-0 defeat, Farrell defeating Southern Columbia in that state championship game. That was single A back in the day, and here's Tom Tidy on the report from the game of 1995.
Mistakes are not an option in a state final. On Southern Columbia's second possession, Todd Sharrow has problems with the pitch. Farrell's Stan Kennedy recovers. 5 plays later, Farrell shows its quickness. Kennedy off left side untouched, 26 yards, and the Steelers have a 6-0 lead. Southern's D needs to come up big in the second quarter. Farrell with a 4th and goal from the 3, but Jeremy Hoagland is there for the stop at the 1. The Tigers offense had a few more chances in the first half to get something going. Here Brad Asavala hits Rico Rossini on the screen, but then Rossini gets hit by Kennedy. Farrell leads it at the break 6-0. Farrell's defense dominating the first half of play. The Steelers holding Southern Columbia's offense to 61 yards. On their first possession of the second half, the Tigers drive deep into Farrell territory, but Asavala's pass to Andy Helwig is incomplete. The drive stalls on the 17. 3 minutes to play in the game, still 6-0, and Stan Kennedy coughs up the football. Southern's Scott Bloom recovers. But once again, the Farrell defense comes up big. 4th and 4 on the 28. Asavala is stopped short of the first down, and the Steelers hold off Southern Columbia's bid for a second straight state title and their 33rd straight win, a 6-0 triumph for Farrell. You've gone through some good teams, winning and scoring some big points, putting up big numbers. Did you ever think you'd be shut out?
No, but up until today, our 2 previous losses, one of them was a shutout. So fortunately for our program, we have to go back to 92 to find that game. So it's been a great run for us, and right now I just feel bad for the players because I realize that a lot of them have had great success here and they won a title last year and everything, but at the same time, it's hard when you go this long and the expectations are so high and you fall short like this. It's a big disappointment.
All right, thanks, Tidy. Obviously, a tough loss for Southern Columbia there, and they fast forward a whole year later, and both teams are back once again and playing for another state title in 1996. But this one a little bit different, like you said earlier. Running back Rico Rossini did not play; he was on crutches, had a fractured leg, and that certainly did not help the Tigers in that effort in that game.
No, and Coach also hit me with a fun fact that the quarterback from that 95 team from Farrell is now the head coach of the Farrell team, Anthony Paguse, and his son is now the quarterback. So they're probably looking to create some history for themselves this year, but I know that Coach Roth and the Tigers really want to get this one back after these last 2 appearances and last 2 losses against them.
Yeah, obviously those teams out of the Whippeal, they are obviously well-coached, very tough football teams. So let's head back to 1996. This is the state championship game, again in single A between Farrell and Southern Columbia. And once again, here's Tom Tidy with the report.
Rico Rossini, Southern star running back, had hoped to play in this game. Doctor said no way, broken bone in his leg. Farrell strikes first, the defending state champs, Rini Gash to Chico Pinkins. Pinkins breaking tackles, goes 23 yards, and Farrell has a 6-0 lead after 1. In the second, Southern Columbia strikes back. Nick Slater's pass appears to be picked off, but Bobby Yankowski with the great adjustment, tying the game at 6. Last play of the half, Farrell with a golden opportunity, gashes pass on the fake field goal, but the receiver falls down. Southern Columbia races into the locker room tied 6-6. But any momentum Southern has is fumbled away in the Tigers' opening drive of the third. Joe Murphy can't come up with the loose ball. Dante Newell does and recovers at the Southern 38. The Steelers make the most of the opportunity. 4 plays later, Jason Kennedy on the pitch, finding the corner. The 2-point conversion giving Farrell a 14-6 lead. Farrell's defense stingy in the second half. Newell levels Joe Murphy. Early in the fourth now, Scott Bloom cuts into that Farrell lead. Bloom from 5 yards out, and Southern is down 14-12. But on the 2-point conversion, Mark Yakovich gets it in the backfield. Marino Harris also in the backfield with the big stop. The Steelers D curtains for Southern. Gash mashes Murphy. Farrell celebrates its second straight state title, a 14-12 win. The Steelers celebrating a bit too much and too often for Southern coach Jim Roth.
People should be playing the game and concentrating on the game, and if they want to be excited about making a play, that's one thing. But this stuff of walking to our sideline and jeering and taunting and all the other things that were happening, that's not high school football. And for whatever reason, we couldn't get any cooperation out there. But I'm not going to, certainly blame the officials for losing the game. They earned the victory. But I felt bad about the way some of our kids, lost their tempers and so forth after the game. But, I have to say that it was a frustrating situation because of some of those circumstances.
All right, well, obviously 2 tough losses. Let's try not to make it 3 in a row.
Yes.
State championship game coming up on Friday. Hopefully Southern can avenge those losses from the mid-'90s. And once again, thanks to Tom Tidy for those reports back in the 90s. A good guy there for us. So when we come back, we're going to roll into some local college football. We got some teams still playing. We got the Susquehanna Riverhawks still playing. We got the Kutztown Golden Bears still playing. And one is D3, one is D2. So those 2 universities going for national championships. We'll talk a little Penn State, a little Notre Dame when we come back on Sports Spotlight. All right, welcome back to the WNEP Sports Spotlight. This is our local college report. NCAA Division 1, 2, and 3. We're going to start with the Susquehanna Riverhawks down there in Selinsgrove. 42-28 win over Christopher Newport. A big win for Susquehanna in the NCAA Division 3 second-round playoffs. Now Susquehanna heads to play Eastern University, basically the Sweet 16. Left 8 games on the schedule, and the game is Saturday at noon down in Radnor. So Susquehanna, boy, they are playing some great football here and obviously avenging an earlier season loss to Christopher Newport and getting some quality play from their quarterback in Tyler Ulrich. Great win for Susquehanna.
Yeah, this was a satisfying win. Coach said that was a really, really big one they wanted to get to knock off. It kind of clears the way. They can kind of check their box and, really now move on and focus. But Josh Ehrlich had 5 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, and they were all pretty pumped for John Kredensky. This was only his 4th game of the season. He was sick. He had an injury. He came off the bench and had a big game, 107 yards in this win. So, they're on their way back to kind of where they were last year for the Riverhawks. I think they want to, keep it rolling.
We talked about kind of growing up, after that Christopher Newport loss, and we had a bye week the next week and kind of regrouped and try to find a different identity. I think we had to win differently, and we really changed a lot schematically and still kept with our philosophy, but schematically changed a lot on both sides of the football, and then obviously got better and better with that. And our guys were ready to go this time around against a really good team in CNU, and that's one of probably the better games we've executed and played in my time here for sure.
We'll see how they do against Eastern. This will be the first time the teams are meeting to play each other. So
yeah, then Eastern, one of those MAC schools, playing Kings in there and Misericordia. They were able to beat Franklin and Marshall in a close one, 28-24. So good luck to Susquehanna as they travel down there Saturday at noon for that kickoff, and hopefully they can continue the run. Moving on to Division 2, Kutztown into the Division 2 Final 8. and now they face Frostburg State. That's going to be down at KU there in Kutztown Saturday at home. They have not announced a time yet. I'm assuming that's probably earlier in their afternoon due to some light issues. I don't know if they have lights at the stadium there. I'm not sure. They didn't have lights when I was at school there. The Golden Bears coming off the win over Assumption 56-19. And a local player, Brandon Heil from Selinsgrove, he led Kutztown in tackle. So it's always nice to keep track of some former local players playing down there D2. And wow, they're one of the undefeated teams left in the country.
Yeah, we love to see those number 3 Golden Bears doing well. And you mentioned Brandon Heil. He was chosen as the PSAC East Defensive Player of the Year, obviously for a good reason. You said he had led the team in tackles. Yeah. 8 tackles, 1 sack in this game. Huge win. And, we wish them the best of luck this week playing Frostburg. Again, first time these two teams are meeting. And I think I did see a time at 1 o'clock, I think.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that one. I'm pretty sure when I was reading through, it said an afternoon game, because you said, you got to work things out, weather, lights, how all that goes.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fans from like Monroe County, Schuylkill County heading down there. I know they get a lot of fans that come in from the Allentown and Reading area to watch some Kutztown football. So moving on to Penn State, they are bowl eligible now after beating Rutgers Saturday night 40-36. Not the greatest defensive effort of all time, but they improve their record to 6-6 on the season for interim head coach Terry Smith, and they were able to get nice defensive play there and a scoop and score and run it in for a touchdown and hold off the Scarlet Knights 40-36. So it's a few wins in a row and kind of salvaging the season here, and they will find out what bowl game they're going to go to on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that game was probably a little bit closer than they really wanted it to be. But we have to mention, Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. It's amazing how throughout the season they've been able to share the ball and set some new records. Nick Singleton beating Saquon's record, 54 career touchdowns, 44 touchdowns in a season. Awesome. And, we know Katron Allen setting some records last week with rushing yards. So, kudos to those two guys. I'm sure we'll be seeing them in the NFL at some point. But obviously, right now the focus is to get ready for whatever bowl game they'll be playing, and we'll find out this weekend.
Yeah, obviously losing Rojas before they played UCLA, and then Drew Aller going down, and obviously Ethan Grunkmeyer coming in there, and Coach Smith has kind of put his stamp on this program, running the football, playing some defense. Obviously, a tough one against Indiana, almost knocked off the number 2 team in the country, but losing to Ohio State, losing to Iowa, and then wins over some mediocre programs. But wins are wins, and they will take it. So moving on to Notre Dame, they defeated Stanford 49-20 to go to 10-2 on the season. The Irish are ranked 9th in the college football playoff rankings and have no conference championship game to play because they are not in a conference. Notre Dame lost to Miami, Florida, and Texas A&M to begin the season. I know there's a lot of Notre Dame fans in the area, and they're just kind of waiting to see where they're going to get placed in that college football playoffs. 12 teams, you have the top 4 seeds get byes, and then those first games are December 19th and 20th. And once again, Notre Dame could have a December home football game.
Yeah, and where they're ranked, when you're just at the tail end of that top 10, below the top 10, a lot can happen, and you don't know where you're going to wind up playing. You expect them to be in the college football playoff, but stranger things have happened when it comes to that. But
right.
What a season for C.J. Carr, Jeremiah Love passing Jerome Bettis for single season touchdown record with 21 in this game. That was the first touchdown of the game. Things were it looked a little electric down there for this one. But good luck to Notre Dame and all of our Fighting Irish fans.
It wasn't too long ago, back the first week there in January down in the Orange Bowl. It was Notre Dame and Penn State playing, and Penn State one play away from going to the national championship game. Notre Dame obviously going there and losing to Ohio State, and obviously now Coach Franklin's gone, and we will see what's going to happen with the future of Penn State football. All right, so when we come back, we're going to update you on the Super 16 countdown, when we're going to release the final countdown. Guess we're just call it the countdown. It's not really rankings. And then we will talk about the Dream Team Showcase, our event down at the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton International Airport. That event coming up in January. We're going to update you on those 2 items when we come back here on the Sports Spotlight. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the WNEP Sports Spotlight. I've been back at my desk for about 15, 20 minutes, and I've been working on the final Super 16 countdown. That will come out Monday night, December 8th. That's on Monday at 6 p.m. If you miss it, you can go to our desktop page, WNEP.com. You can check it out there. You can open up the WNEP app, click on sports. We'll have all the numbers there for the Super 16 countdown. 16 teams, and I know teams always like to be in there. And obviously, we will give a trophy to our number one team. Last year it was Troy. We'll see who it's going to be this year. Most likely, that has kind of already been settled with Southern Columbia playing in the state final on Friday.
Yeah, and a lot has changed otherwise. Between the last time we had the countdown out there and what it's going to look like on Monday. So I think we had some surprises in there. We'll have some movement. We'll have to wait and see. You'll have to wait and see. We'll know how things shake out. But a great season overall to all of our teams who played deep into the postseason and are finishing out in our Super 16.
And once again, we will have our Dream Team Showcase, 32 of the best players, high school football from all across northeastern and central Pennsylvania from the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton International Airport. Obviously, it's our number one team, the coach of the year, the overall player of the year, our offensive and defensive players of the year, and our scholar athlete. We've been crunching those names. We have been getting the nomination forms coming in. I believe I'm up to about 35 schools. So football, I think we're in the 90s. So we're missing a few schools. Get those nomination forms in. I know the deadline is here. So we need those forms in, and then we'll draft from those, and we'll have 32 kids picked, and we'll welcome them to the airport coming up in January.
We got some great athletes out there this season. We're gonna have some hard choices. We like to talk about things a little ahead of time. We come up with our own little lists. We talked about some of who we thought of our district players of the year and coaches of the year were last year.
Right.
Won't be surprised to see some of those names in there as well. So
I know all three of us were down there last year, and we had a good time. Was there a player or a family member or somebody? Was there any memory in particular that kind of stood out last year being down there?
No, it's just kind of nice to be able to see these players outside of work, we'll call it, on the field, practices, whether practices or games. You kind of get a chance to see them and their parents if they come with them. Sometimes it's just the coaches bringing the players, but when the parents are there, you kind of remember how important this is to them, and how much of an honor it is. So it's that's always exciting to see, getting their trophies, taking their pictures, and capturing those moments. That's the best part.
I love when some of the linemen come in and just how big some of these kids are. And they don't have their football jerseys on. They don't have the shoulder pads or helmets on, but still big kids and obviously lighthearted, and they always have a good time down there. So we appreciate the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton International Airport being our presenting sponsor each and every year, and we'll be down there once again coming up in January. But we got one high school football game left. It's Farrell and Southern Columbia. You're going to be down there with Eve, have a full report. I'm not going to ask you for your pick. I'm assuming both of us are picking Southern Columbia. Hopefully the Tigers can avenge those two losses back in the early 90s.
Yeah, it's always exciting when we can at least get one team playing at the end of the season, the very end of the season. I talked to the coach yesterday, and I said, it's never a bad thing when it's this cold and you're at practice. He goes, nope, you want to be cold. You want to be playing this time of the year. So we're best of luck to the Tigers this week.
Yeah, so we have a Whitfield team, and then we have a team from District 4, so we'll see who the officials get assigned. It could be a crew from District 11, could be a crew from District 2. I know a lot of them usually reach out to me just to let us know what games they got, and usually those crews are super excited. They get picked and evaluated during the season, so for them it's obviously an achievement for them to get down there to one of the 6 state championship games.
Yeah, I always keep forgetting that there's 6 too.
Yeah.
We talk about all the rankings, and I feel like we've always had somebody in District 2. The last few, obviously, Southern Columbia has played in several of them, but I think District 2, not District 2, sorry, 2A is our big powerhouse. So it's always nice to be able to at least get one game. And I'm really glad it's in the afternoon because that means the sun is not down and it's not even colder. So 1:00 kickoff for this game. We'll be there.
All right, so for Courtney Harrison, I'm Steve Lloyd. Thanks again for joining us here on the WNEP Sports Spotlight. We'll be back next week with our final show as we recap the state championship game for Southern Columbia and Farrell. They kick off Friday at 1 p.m. Good luck to the Tigers. Get out there. Make it a great day.